Today we have Ali from American Tungsten. Of course, tungsten is no longer being exported from China and is undoubtedly the #1 critical mineral everybody's talking about in the world. What makes American Tungsten so competitive that everyone should be watching you at this very moment in time?
Tracy, great to see you. American Tungsten has a past-producing brownfield asset by the name of Ima in Idaho, Idaho being a fantastic mining jurisdiction. The asset that we have today sits on private and patented land, which means we own surface rights and the mineral rights beneath it. Unlike other mineral projects or tungsten projects, I should say, in North America, we are not sitting below the water table. We do not require a pump out of any water that is sitting within those tunnels. Our path to production is about 12 to 18 months, servicing 8% of US tungsten demand.
And of course, I was looking at your website, which is outstanding, and you have a couple of additional competitive elements I'd love for you to draw everybody's attention to. And let's start with some of your most recent announcements, including a gentleman from the DOE that just joined your board. Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Absolutely. Dan Nicholas used to run the Department of Energy's Loan Program Office, where he doled out about $40 billion in government grants. I've known Dan for a number of years, and he decided to join me when I became CEO of American Tungsten. He is a special advisor to EY, so essentially a senior consultant to a consultancy where he helps public and private companies obtain non-dilutive government funding. He was also a banker at Morgan Stanley and Salomon Brothers, based between New York and Washington. So an individual that's really putting us in the front or in front of all of the various government agencies that will be providing us with the non-dilutive capital that we require to bring IMA back online to production. The other individual that I think, Tracy, you might be referring to is Jim Whittaker. Jim is the chief operating officer of Capstone Copper, a $6.5 billion company, one of the larger copper producers on the planet today. He was the past president of Escondida. He was also in senior leadership positions at both Barrick and BHP. So an individual that's only allowed one board seat, but chose to join me along my journey of bringing IMA back to production.
And of course, let's not understate your background. I was so impressed. I mean, we love Murray and I. He presented actually the CMI Summit, but then you stepped in as the CEO. Can you tell us why you did that?
For a number of reasons. I was the CEO of Lithium Ion Energy, and my background stems in asset management. I had about 14 years at Invesco in various capacities, 6 different roles in 14 years across that organization, mostly focused on M&A and leaning out the business, so to speak. Once I left Invesco, I was approached by an individual in the mining world that I'd known for a number of years, and they asked me to bring my M&A advisory experience over to help acquire a project from Centerra in Mongolia. That is the ATO project that currently sits in Step Gold, a gold producer in Mongolia with about 350 Mongolian nationals, pouring about 60,000 ounces of gold. We acquired that project when it was brownfield. There was a resource, we doubled it, and we've since brought that to production. After that, I led Ion Energy, a company that I founded in 2017 at the tail end of the last lithium cycle. Lithium, of course, trading at it's sort of significant lows, historical lows here. I still managed to do a deal to JV out our projects to bring them to commercial production while maintaining an NSR on those projects. So my shift to American Tungsten, I think, is quite topical. I had built the relationships in the government agencies in the United States that I thought would be necessary to unlock value from a non-dilutive perspective for American Tungsten. But more importantly, just recognizing where it is in terms of the supply chain and the restrictions with respect to exporting it from China. So a project that has been a past producer to the tune of the 4th largest producer of tungsten in North America, one that can be switched back on quite quickly given its private patented position and the no lack of infrastructure at the asset that, of course, allows us to start generating revenue as soon as we start to ship ore.
And of course, you're a relatively new publicly listed company. Is that correct?
We are. We've only been around for 10, 12 months now. We are on the CSE under ticker TUNG. We're on the OTCQB under DEMRF. The goal for us would be to get on one of the US exchanges, NYSE Amex or NASDAQ, once we have an updated resource and a path to production.
You have an explosive shareholder base. I think I heard you have over 6,000 shareholders already. Is that correct?
That's correct. So 6,000 US shareholders, a number, the number in Canadian shareholders is likely similar. So with that many shareholders, the retail story has been told. Now with the team that we've assembled, and we will continue to assemble as we hit major milestones and catalysts, the expectation is that the number would grow.
And of course, major milestones and catalysts are something you seem to be very good at. You just announced your 43101 update. Can you hit some of those highlights for us?
Yeah, it's very much highlighting the project in terms of its technical nature, but also restating some of the historical resource, which is 350,000 ton at 0.63. The highly probable the highly probable resource was 1.1 million ton from Gentor. We will be doing some validation drilling this summer to help not only validate that and provide the market with an updated resource statement, but we may potentially have an increased resource on the project as well. So a lot of work being done over the course of the summer to rehab what we have on site, opening up the adits, ensuring that they're in safe working order, laying down track, and putting the necessary ventilation work in place for us to start that drilling, update our resource statement, do a bulk sample with the two mills that we are speaking to in the vicinity to determine metallurgy and flow sheets. And then, of course, look to secure an offtake partner before we start to bring on a lot of this non-dilutive capital that we have access to from various government agencies.
Tungsten is currently trending #1 on the InvestorNews website. Can you tell us if you see that slowing down or only picking up the pace?
Well, if you look at tungsten, the price is at 14-year highs. It's up about $100 since February, 352 in February, 452 today. That price has been increasing well before the trade wars came into place between the Trump administration and China. China announced their intent to restrict all exports well before Trump was inaugurated. So despite what we see may happen with these trade wars and the July 9th announcements that are expected, I think tungsten will continue to be in very tight supply. With NATO having committed to 5% of their GDP going to military and bolstering their military, you cannot have military dominance without tungsten. And the state of the world today, unfortunately, with all the conflicts that are occurring around the world, it is imperative that we start to bring tungsten supply online domestically, and we are able to maintain that military dominance and industrial dominance as we start to build on microchips and nuclear power plants, wind and solar, and all of these other things that we deem or have imported, I should say, for the vast majority of the last 20 years.
For everybody out there who wants to learn more about an Idaho American-based tungsten play, please go to the following website for AmericanTungstenCorp.com. Thank you, Ali, for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy.